What happened to Charlie Kirk was horrific and a tragedy. What happened, as you mentioned, to the state legislators in Minnesota, that is horrific. It is a tragedy.
We all knew the country was reaching a boiling point, but no one was prepared for the moment Barack Obama strode to the podium, his voice low and razor sharp, as he laid into the legacy of Charlie Kirk. It wasn't the usual politician's soft pedal. This was the former president, the once unshakable symbol of calm, holding nothing back. Cameras captured every raised eyebrow and bitten lip as Obama called out Kirk's vile attacks on black women, naming Michelle Obama, Joy Reid, and Ketanji Brown Jackson, and shredded Kirk's campaign against the Civil Rights Act. For a man who's always played the long game, this was scorched earth. The headlines popped like gunfire. Obama condemns Kirk's attacks on black women. Explosive rumors surface on Kirk's past. A nation divided over a tragedy. As Obama spoke, there was no mistaking it. This was personal, and the air in the room felt 10 degrees colder.
So for someone, and look at just the blatant lie, like he's like, I didn't know him well, but he just went through a list of 5 things in order, in depth, about what he said and what he feels and his points of view. So I don't buy none of that. They know exactly who the hell Charlie Kirk was because his voice was...
What really sent the press corps scrambling was how Obama refused to hide behind polite euphemisms. He drilled into Kirk's bitterness, pointing not only to the man's public rhetoric, but to something deeper, a wound festering for years. Insiders have whispered for ages about a humiliating moment in Kirk's youth, a college rejection, allegedly losing his spot to a black female applicant. True, the record's fuzzy, but it's a story that stuck around, echoed by campaign staffers and former classmates who claim Kirk never let it go. One former Turning Point USA organizer put it bluntly. He talked about it all the time, like it was his villain origin story. Did that single twist of fate set Kirk down a path toward targeting, harassing, and belittling black women who dared to succeed? We may never know for sure, but when Obama stared down the camera and asked how many times Kirk had tried to rewrite history to fit his own bruised ego, it landed with a thud. The nation was watching, mouths agape, wondering if that was the crack in the dam that explained everything that followed. And the moment we all thought the tension might ease, it twisted again. We'd all heard the rumors, never confirmed, never fully denied, that during his presidency, Obama had access to a top-secret FBI file on Charlie Kirk. This wasn't the usual Oppo research or backroom gossip. This file, according to at least 3 former White House staffers and a certain former Justice Department official who accidentally dropped hints to the D.C. press, allegedly links Kirk to some of the country's most shadowy figures. Extremist donors, money trails to dark web message boards, and online communities infamous for nurturing the country's most dangerous conflict entrepreneurs. Why would Obama sit on such a bombshell? Was it some old-school move, the kind of restraint you only see in political chess matches? Or a tactical favor, holding back until the moment was just right? One theory, offered half seriously, half terrified by a Hill reporter, suggests Obama figured the file was a bigger threat in reserve. A sword of Damocles that could keep Kirk guessing, never quite sure how far the president was willing to go.
Well, we are certainly at an inflection point, not just around political violence, but there are a host of larger trends that we have to be concerned about.
And we didn't have long to speculate. The country was already reeling from the shock of the Utah shooting, the kind of horrifying political violence that leaves everything else wobbling. Kirk was at Utah Valley University doing what he did best, stoking outrage, sparring with students, dropping those now infamous lines about trans people and mass shooting. When a gunshot cracked the afternoon and a once invincible conservative icon collapsed, his words cut short. The man arrested, Tyler Robinson, became an instant household name, his life and every digital breadcrumb scoured by investigators and internet sleuths alike. Utah's own Republican governor, Spencer Cox, went on every network in America, describing Robinson as a young man from a conservative family. The details spilled out in waves. A partner, transitioning from male to female. An apartment filled with gaming gear and late-night internet chatter. Group chats where memes about fascists mixed with half-baked plans and scrawled bullet casings. Every thread seemed to lead deeper into the abyss. A stew of political anger, personal confusion, and a culture addicted to outrage. The backlash hit in every direction. As the headlines ping-ponged between right and left, Obama's measured words about condemning violence from anyone drew praise from some and sneers from others. A presidential response, one British commentator called it, while Trump and his allies rushed to blame the radical left and called Obama the architect of modern political division. If you wanted a moment that captured everything wrong with American public life, this was it. One president urging calm, the other stoking the fire. Meanwhile, in Washington's vigils and rallies for Kirk turned into full-blown culture war battlefields, with J.D. Vance, yes, the vice president himself, hosting the Charlie Kirk Show as a tribute, vowing on air that Charlie's mission would only grow stronger. Congress hurried to demand nearly $60 million more for personal security, as lawmakers, aides, and even judges started moving public events indoors, away from the line of fire.
Conservative activists, Republican lawmakers, and even a doxing website are flagging the comments in what critics say is a campaign to punish those.
And if we thought the shooting would silence Kirk's legacy, the opposite happened. Tributes and eulogies poured in from the far right and the halls of power. Trump, Speaker Mike Johnson, even RFK Jr., each man spinning the Kirk myth to suit his own agenda. Kirk's widow Erica choked back tears at a rally, warning, "You have no idea what you just unleashed across this entire country and this world." At the same time, the reality check came barreling in from journalists like Moira Donegan, who reminded everyone that the canonization of Kirk was, frankly, laughable. Kirk wasn't a champion of reasoned debate. His events were stage-managed circus acts designed to humiliate and provoke, often targeting exactly the black women Obama had just named. Kirk called the Civil Rights Act a huge mistake, parroted the Great Replacement conspiracy, and openly questioned the intelligence of black women on his show. But here's where it gets twisted. As journalists and sports writers who dared to call Kirk hateful found themselves fired or publicly shamed, the real lesson was that Kirk's values still held frightening sway over his supporters, enough to cost you your career if you spoke out. There was no shortage of fuel for the fire. In the days after the shooting, both mainstream and fringe media became battlegrounds. Jimmy Kimmel was abruptly pulled from ABC's schedule for a joke about Kirk after a wave of pressure from the Trump administration. Obama publicly denounced what he saw as censorship by regulatory threats, warning officials are weaponizing regulatory powers to silence voices they oppose. Meanwhile, the blowback ricocheted in all directions. TMZ, of all places, got itself tangled in a scandal after laughter was caught on their live stream during news of Kirk's shooting. Social media instantly erupted with accusations of disrespect and mockery, and Laura Loomer all but called for heads to roll. TMZ claimed it was just horrible timing, laughter over a car chase in another part of the office, but few were satisfied. In a world addicted to conspiracy and spectacle, nothing lands quietly.
You have to make this good. I'm one that actually watched some of the stuff that you've done over the years, and it's actually good.
I agree.
For you to defend and lie about what they reacted to, you lost so much credibility with me. So much credibility with me for you to behave that way.
Meanwhile, the official investigation stumbled on, as Tyler Robinson, Kirk's accused shooter, clammed up behind bars and refused to cooperate. His digital footprint was pored over, each Discord message and meme-laced forum post dragged into the light. Robinson's roommate, described by Governor Cox as a boyfriend who is transitioning from male to female, was apparently shocked by the whole thing and worked closely with investigators. Yet nobody, not the FBI, not the governor, not even the White House, was willing to confirm whether Robinson's personal relationships or online activities were the why everyone was desperate to find. Cox took to every news show that would have him warning that social media has played a direct role in every single assassination and assassination attempt that we have seen over the last 5-6 years, and called it a cancer. But the most telling thing was this: Cox himself, the target of Kirk's attacks just a few years ago, was suddenly America's calmest voice, urging people to find an off-ramp before the country drove itself over a cliff.
The fallout from Charlie Kirk's has spread to the workplace. People are getting fired for comments that seem to celebrate or glorify the assassination of the MAGA activist and father of 2 young children.
And all the while, the Kirk legend only seemed to swell. At the Kennedy Center in D.C., supporters packed a prayer vigil, red hats mingling with dark suits, as Speaker Mike Johnson declared Kirk's legacy immeasurable. RFK Jr. took the stage to reminisce about long talks with Kirk, warning the crowd that there are worse things than dying. At a Utah gun show, supporters mourned Kirk as one of our own. Even as others noted the irony, Kirk, the man who lived by the gun debate, was gone in a flash at one of his own rallies. The conversation online was even more raw. Pilots, sports writers, even Secret Service agents were suspended or fired for social posts deemed inappropriate about Kirk's fate. A wave of firings that underscored just how radioactive the culture war had become. We watched as politicians rushed to lower the temperature or, depending on their loyalties, turned up the heat. Obama in Erie, Pennsylvania warned that the United States was at a dangerous inflection point. There are no ifs, ands, or buts about it. The central premise of our democratic system is that we have to be able to disagree and have sometimes really contentious debates without resorting to violence. He praised the Republican governor of Utah, Spencer Cox, for keeping a cool head, while singling out Trump and his White House for doing just the opposite. When I hear not just our current president, but his aides who have a history of calling political opponents vermin, enemies who need to be targeted, that speaks to a broader problem that we have right now and something that we're going to have to grapple with, all of us. There it was again, Obama, walking the line between mourning and warning, letting the country feel the weight of what was lost. Not just one man, but a sense that the center could hold.
Well, speaking of the events of the world, you are in Pennsylvania, as you know, earlier this year, the governor's mansion, the subject of an arson attack, the tragedy in Minnesota back in June, the horrific in Utah of a conservative activist. Are we at an inflection point in our country? Where are we?
As the dust began to settle, one thing was clear. Nobody was safe from the storm that Charlie Kirk left behind. Not his critics, not his supporters, not even the institutions meant to stand above the fray. In the vacuum, the wildest rumors only got wilder. Would that FBI file ever see the light of day? Was Obama holding it back as a trump card? Or would it surface in some dark corner of the internet, too late to make a difference? For now, all we could do was watch, wait, and wonder which way the wind would blow next. But even as the world tried to digest Obama's searing words and Kirk's complicated legacy, a new obsession gripped the nation. The question of who exactly was Tyler Robinson, and why did his crosshairs settle on a man like Charlie Kirk? We watched in stunned silence as digital sleuths and official investigators tore through Robinson's life, leaving no meme unturned. With each day, more pieces slipped into the open. Blurry photos from his high school days, screenshots of obscure Discord chats, and half-finished rants scrawled in comment sections at 3 a.m. The initial portrait painted by Utah authorities was almost boring. A very normal, very smart young man, conservative family, perfect ACT score. But peel back that bland surface and what you get is anything but boring. A plunge into online rabbit holes where irony, outrage, and radicalism blend into one toxic cocktail.
Such as, for example, creating disharmony in the workplace, then that freedom of speech isn't necessarily protected. And so there is different standards, there's a higher bar. However, there still is the ability to, if someone is, for example, inciting violence, that is not protected speech, even for a government.
The online world that shaped Robinson didn't come with guardrails. Governor Cox hinted at deep, dark internet, Reddit culture, and these other dark places. What investigators actually found was a swirl of digital footprints linking Robinson to everything from anti-fascist memes to weaponized in-jokes, along with scattered manifesto-style ramblings that wouldn't have looked out of place in a Netflix true crime special. There were cryptic jokes about doppelgangers and the FBI, references to fascism on bullet casings, and even a group chat where someone quipped about splitting a reward for turning him in, only for Robinson to reply, "Only if I get a cut." We watched as the lines between trolling and intent blurred, the real motive slipping further into the haze with every new leak.
To do it, because I think there's an irony here. My take on this, there's an irony. Harvey has made his career on busting celebrities that lie when they're arrested, and then this video, that video, this person, that person, and then they bust them. They go, no,
What a great point.
here's what really happened.
That's right.
And now Harvey's in the middle of it, right there, busted, and sitting there in front of the spotlight, the same way he puts celebrities and other people in front of the spotlight. And what's
But if you thought this story had peaked, just wait, because in the days after the incident, the spotlight snapped to a character nobody saw coming, Robinson's roommate. According to the governor and federal sources, Robinson's live-in partner was transitioning from male to female. Cue the swirling, feverish speculation. Was this just an irrelevant footnote or the missing piece in a much darker puzzle? Online rumor mills exploded with the so-called trans roommate revenge theory, with anonymous posters claiming that Robinson's partner helped radicalize him, possibly feeding his resentment and guiding him toward targeting Kirk. The echoes of Kirk's infamous rants about trans people as an abomination god suddenly felt even more volatile. Was this a case of personal vengeance? Or had the country's feverish culture war simply found its next flashpoint? Let's be honest, there's zero hard proof tying Robinson's roommate to a shadowy plot. The governor himself told NBC, "We're all drawing lots of conclusions on how someone like this could be radicalized." I think those are important questions for us to ask and answer. Investigators have confirmed that the partner was shocked and very cooperative, but none of that stopped the story from metastasizing across X, Telegram, and Telegram knockoffs, each retelling more lurid than the last. One so-called insider on Reddit insisted the roommates' chats were all about getting even. Another countered, "It's just a tragic coincidence." The real story is Kirk's obsession with transphobia finally backfired. At this point, the only certainty is that the truth, whatever it may be, has been buried under 1,000 competing narratives.
They don't need a reason to fire you if you're an at-will employee, which most workers in the U.S. are at-will contracts. So they can fire you because you wore green instead of blue one day. It doesn't matter. Really, what the leader's job at these private employers is to identify the workers who are aligned with the culture that they're trying to cultivate, the strategy that they have to achieve their results towards their...
Meanwhile, as we tried to parse the rumors from reality, the core question kept circling back. Did Kirk's own words make him a target? Kirk's soundbites about trans people, black women, and the replacement theory were never subtle, and his campus appearances were choreographed showdowns. Critics argue that his brand of outrage wasn't just theater, it was an accelerant. In the days after the shooting, online debates reached a fever pitch. Was this a hate-fueled act of personal revenge, or simply the next escalation in America's culture war? And more chillingly, could anyone else have ended up in the crosshairs, given the endless churn of online provocations and angry live streams?
Cameras all over the place. That's your business model. Show the camera footage. You have it. What were they reacting to? You have the camera footage in the back. Everywhere in that facility.
The tension kept building as more evidence dripped out. Law enforcement is still reviewing terabytes of Robinson's digital activity, trying to untangle meme from motive. There are hints that Robinson only recently became political, with friends claiming he'd spent most of his energy gaming and staying up late online. Until something snapped. A New York Times report referenced Discord messages after the shooting, where Robinson joked that his doppelganger was the shooter. Even the inscriptions on those bullet casings, one reading, "Hey, fascist, catch," and another, bizarrely, "If you read this, you are homosexual, LMAO." Paint a picture of someone marinating in meme culture, irony, and real-life violence until the lines disintegrated. Social media has played a direct role in every single assassination and attempt we've seen over the last 5-6 years, Governor Cox warned, his words echoing across every major network. While investigators pieced together timelines, the world outside responded with a collective shudder. News organizations, companies, even sports teams scrambled to distance themselves from anyone who dared say the wrong thing about Kirk, whether that meant firing commentators, suspending airline pilots, or even publicly rebuking their own employees over a badly timed social media post. In this new era, even a joke could get you exiled from your job or pilloried by your own fan. When TMZ was caught with laughter on their live stream as Kirk's passing was confirmed, the backlash was instant and brutal. Despite their apologies and explanations about a car chase, the public saw what they wanted to see: schadenfreude, disrespect, or just another sign of national decay.
Have the balls to just tell the truth. You know what, guys? We're freaking leftists. We're progressive. You know what? Charlie is a voice that says stuff that we don't like. We are happy that he was shot in the freaking neck in front of his family.
I don't know if it's the entire organization. Let me tell you.
No, I'm saying what this guy's saying. It's filled with hateful, angry progressives.
And I believe that.
Yes.
That I believe.
This is the guy, Pat.
No, I believe that exists.
Yeah.
We've watched as Turning Point USA rallies have turned Kirk into a folk hero. His name now a chant at conservative events, his image already mythologized as a martyr for free speech. House Speaker Mike Johnson praised Kirk's legacy as immeasurable, and the vice president himself hosted the Charlie Kirk Show in tribute. Meanwhile, the other side calls for honesty about what Kirk actually stood for, and whether those ideas helped to spark the same culture of rage that consumed him. Obama's warning about the country's inflection point keeps echoing. We have to be able to disagree, without resorting to violence, he insisted, drawing a line between passionate debate and outright conflict. And yet, that line seems thinner every day, frayed by the endless churn of outrage, online threats, and viral clips. The question now, the one nobody really wants to ask out loud, is Kirk's passing the beginning of a new era of political payback? Where every controversial statement, every viral clip becomes ammunition for the next would-be vigilante. In a world where rumors spread faster than facts and where outrage is the new currency, it's almost impossible to know where the next flashpoint will be. As the FBI keeps digging and the media keeps spinning, one reality remains. Charlie Kirk's legacy, for better or worse, has become bigger than the man himself. The consequences of that legacy are still rippling out, making the future more unpredictable by the hour. So we have to ask, is this the end of an era or the start of something far more dangerous? Has America reached the point where words are as harmful as bullets, or are we just at the beginning of the story? Drop your wildest theories and reactions in the comments below, because trust us, the next chapter is coming faster than you think. Stay sharp, stay safe, and we'll see you on the other side of the scandal.